Fall for Me TV. This fall on Me TV, Remington Steele.
It's definitely an emergency.
Oh yeah, also Emergency.
Please stay with me.
And more familiar faces.
You act like I've never been on television before.
Me TV continues to deliver the shows you remember.
I remember.
And you may discover shows you've never seen before.
Is that a threat?
Fall for Me TV. For a complete schedule, go to MeTVNetwork.com.
Hello, I'm John Mallos. Can you believe that we're less than 24 hours away from Election Day? It's already here. Tomorrow is November 6th. It's D-Day time. It's time to vote. Brandi Orth, the Fresno County Registrar, is here as our guest today on Connect with Me, live in the studio. Your phone calls are important. Try to connect with us at 559-265-4331. Back in a minute. In just a little while, it'll all be over. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. All of the signs down there that are near Shaw and Blackstone and everywhere else, Herndon and Blackstone, they'll all be coming down. The election will be over. We'll all be happy campers again. And all the negative ads will be gone. But this one, a very important election. You know, the polls open up at 7 a.m. tomorrow, of course, and then they close at 8 o'clock, so make sure and get out and vote. Some very important races, though, to talk about this election cycle. You've got Whalen versus Patterson. You've got Brandau versus DeChico. You've got Hernandez versus Valadeo in that congressional race. You've got the 3 strikes proposition. You have the death penalty proposition. We've heard so much about Prop 30. 32, 38. There are 11 propositions on the ballot this election year, if you can believe it. We've seen all the ads. We've done all our homework on the propositions. We'll have a special election show here tomorrow. But let's go to the video and we'll talk about Brandi Orth. And we'll talk to her and ask her some very valid questions. Of course, Brandi Orth, Fresno County Registrar, appointed by the Board of Supervisors on January 17th of this year. She actually went to work 3 days later on January the 20th. She's been a county employee for the past 18 years. She replaced Victor Salazar, the much maligned. He took a lot of heat, a whirlwind of controversy back in 2010 after he closed many of the polling stations. Back in 2010, there were only 114 polling stations. This election year, there are 272 polling stations open for your election day tomorrow. Live in our studio right now is Brandi Orth, the Fresno County Registrar. She'll be here to take some of your phone calls at 265-4331. This is her second election. Remember the June primary? That was her first. No complaints. Everything went smoothly. She did an outstanding job. I'm sure it'll go the same this time around for the general election tomorrow. Polls open at 7. We're back with your phone calls and Brandi Orth in a minute.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the low price leading brands reliable advice place. The Whirlpool Dream Kitchen Get Yours Today place. Check this out. Right now, get huge savings on select Whirlpool appliances and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
And welcome back. I'm pleased to have a very nice young lady in here today, Brandi Orth, the Fresno County Registrar. You were here just in June. You did an outstanding job, I guess, for the June primary. Everything went well, right?
Well, thank you very much. I have an amazing team behind me. And yes, the June primary went really well. And we were looking for a larger turnout this time in November, which I think we are going to experience. And so Fresno County's prepared and ready for this election and ready to wait on voters.
How do you get prepared, and what's the key to success? Is it organization, being organized?
Yes, it's a lot of planning with a lot of contingency plans. We spend over 4 months preparing for this election. We've put in a lot of extra hours. It's all about making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time. It'll take over 2,000 people to actually do this election, and we have a lot of contingency plans and ways to make it.
What does that mean? Like contingency plans for what?
Well, I don't want to jinx it, but
Okay.
let's say for tomorrow morning.
You won't. You won't jinx it. No, I'm sure you won't.
Let's say for tomorrow morning, we have 272 polling places ready online, and we
Right.
have 1,600 precinct officers ready to man those polls. If a polling place shouldn't open on time, we need to make sure that the voters can still process their ballots on the hood of a car if we have to. It's
Right.
plans like that to make sure that if someone overslept, that we can still get the polling place opened on time, or at night if we're collecting materials, voting equipment, make sure that we have over 200 people countywide collecting the voting equipment tomorrow night to bring it back to us. So all of those logistical
Yeah.
plans.
And hopefully all the voting stations work properly. I'm sure they will. They worked in June. There's no reason to think why they wouldn't work now for the general election. And, I want to say that a lot of people that I've talked to that have come up to me are still a little bit confused as to where they should vote. And it's a very simple process. You just look at your sample ballot. It'll tell you where to go, right?
Exactly. Every registered voter gets mailed this sample ballot, and it's really important to look at the back of it, and it will say your polling place. But even if you can't find your paper sample ballot, you can get your electronic sample ballot online at our website, and also look up your address and determine where you vote on the website.
Could they call your office?
And they can call our office.
Which
we have
is what?
phone banks open, 600 vote 8683.
Okay.
And we have people there now, and we'll have people there tomorrow, extra people to answer your calls.
Right. So any kind of confusion, any kind of questions regarding tomorrow, call 600-VOTE right
Yes.
here in Fresno County.
Exactly.
And, people at your office are very polite, and they're very helpful, and I'm sure that they'll get all their questions answered. In planning for this, it takes 4 months, as you said. What are the number 1 or 2 components that you were most focused on?
Well, early on in the process, it's really to make sure of which candidates are qualified to be candidates and which races are on the ballot.
Oh.
That's kind of the bottom line.
That's number 1, right?
Exactly. So everything kind of flows from there. And then is establishing polling places and consolidating our voting precincts, and then we go into actually laying out the ballot. It's a very detailed, law-driven process.
Speaking of which, can we take a look at some video?
Sure.
Let's turn around here and we can talk about the voting process. As last June, I took some video at your office there of some people coming in to vote for the primary. Now talk about the voting process. Just continue what your thought process was there before I rudely interrupted you.
No, you're fine. So here we're seeing that people come into the office. Early voting starts 29 days prior to any election, and they may come into our office and we issue them an absentee ballot, and they may vote it here as this gentleman is doing, or you may take it home and then either mail it or return it to us on election day. And so to be a registered voter, you have to be 18 years of age by the date of the election and a United States citizen.
Right. Now, you have voting days, how many prior to Election Day?
Well, it's 29 days prior to the election. On any business day, registrars in the state are open for early voting.
Okay.
Some registrars do some Saturday voting. We did Saturday voting last Saturday. We were open from 9 to 3. And
How did that go?
We waited on 300 people who came in and voted in our office. I think that was very successful. We were pleased with that.
Yeah, that's good. And so, again, the most important thing when you're looking at proponents or components of this election cycle, you're looking at whether or not a candidate is in fact qualified, and all of the issues with the voting machines, all of that, you have to
Yes.
make sure that they work, right?
Exactly. We go through an elaborate testing process with the voting equipment.
Really?
We run.
How long does that process take?
It usually takes about 2 weeks because we get test ballots in and we run them through all of the voting equipment. And we tested about 15,000 ballots for this election to make sure that all the voting equipment is accurate and operates properly. And so every election we test all the equipments to make sure.
Okay, 265-4331 is the number here on Connect with Me. We're talking with Brandi Orth, the Fresno County Registrar. If you have any questions about tomorrow being Election Day, hey, now's your chance to talk to Brandi and ask her a legitimate question about what's going on tomorrow. I want to show another piece of video here if we can turn around, and that is a safety issue. Now, this is video that I took at one of your warehouses dealing with absentee ballots. You have video cameras all over.
Yes.
The building. This is one of them here. The purpose of that is what?
Well, the Secretary of State requires through voting equipment security measures that all of the election process be under surveillance. We also have, which you don't have right here, is that several of our offices are also alarmed and with special keys with only certain staff having access to that material. And so in this particular video, we're opening the absentee envelopes and we're into a cage with barbed wire at the top, and we take security very seriously and treat
Why
those.
the cage and barbed wire? What's that about?
Well, again, we have a large warehouse and we're isolating that process so
And
that we can.
Who is able to go inside?
Really, only authorized staff are allowed inside the extraction area. We are a county warehouse, so there are possibly other county employees in the warehouse, so we isolate those functions so that we can have total control over.
Right, I know. I asked to go back there inside the caged area to take some video, and they said, no,
No.
you're not allowed back there. Sorry. We don't care what this is for. Anyway, Brandi Orth is our guest here. She's the Fresno County Registrar. Tomorrow is Election Day. 265-4331 is the number here to call if you want to ask a question. We're back in a jiffy.
Fasten your bones and let's twizzle!
Weeknights, do the twizzle with me.
Everybody, start in doing the twizzle. Everybody, if you're ready to sizzle, you twist a little and you twist a lot, and when you really get hot, that's the twizzle. Twizzle, twizzle.
Weeknights starting at 9/8 Central on MeTV.
Well, you know, I was just telling Brandi just a few minutes ago during the break, you know, one of the most important reason why she's here today is to inform you, the public, as to what's going on for tomorrow and how to vote, where to vote, and how to get your problem solved if, in fact, you do have a problem and there is a problem tomorrow. Let's hope everything goes smoothly. But to answer some of the questions also about some of the absentee ballots. Now, I see here, Brandi, that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different locations that people it's a drive-through site.
Yes.
They can take their absentee ballot and drive through these sites. They don't have to get out of the car. They hand their ballot through the window. 9 different sites. What's the purpose of this, and how convenient is this?
Right, and my office is all about customer service, not only at the counter, but we want to make it convenient for people to vote and to return their vote-by-mail ballot. And so this is a new pilot program that we just started, and we've identified 9 locations throughout the county, including our downtown office, where we have this drive-through pop-up tent, and we will have precinct officers manning it, and a ballot box out there, and you can drive up. You won't have to park. You won't have to get out of your car. If you have your voted ballot there, they'll ask you if you're the voter or the authorized person returning the ballot, and then we'll take it from you, and you can keep right on going.
Yeah, you can go on your lunch break. Let's hold this up right in front of Brandi there. That's a picture of one of the drive-through stations right there. You can see the pop-up tent that she was talking about, and you just drive through on your lunch hour, your coffee break, whatever it might be. Drop off your absentee ballot tomorrow. It's a drive-through location, and they're good through 8 o'clock tonight. Or tomorrow night. I'm sorry. Through 8 o'clock tomorrow night on Election Day. We do have a phone call. Let's take it. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. John, can you ask Brandi, I voted absentee ballot.
Okay.
And as time as time went by, somehow O and B I did not vote for.
Okay.
I didn't know it was on the ballot. Okay, and I think I was, be honest, I had pain medicine, I hurt myself. And the question is, can you actually get your ballot back?
No.
Is that possible?
No, I'm sorry, it's not. I'm sorry that happened to you. No, we have already returned 80,000 vote-by-mail ballots that have come back through the mail, and they have been separated from their envelopes because it is a secret ballot, and so we've processed all of those ballots. I would have no way of knowing which one is yours, and that's unfortunately kind of the downside of an absentee ballot, is that if you voted early, sometimes in politics things change pretty quickly, and you may have then want to change your mind about how you vote. So it's right. It's
I'm going to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm go that early. I'm going to wait at least 2 days before
And
Yeah.
the day.
right, and we wouldn't want to hurry you. It's totally at your own time
imagine
schedule.
The system would come to a standstill if you returned every ballot to someone who had a regret vote. Oops, I meant to vote for
Right.
Romney, not Obama, or vice versa. You know
it's
what
just
I mean?
not
You just can't
possible
do
in
it.
the system.
No. But I appreciate your phone call. All right, thank you very much. Let's turn to the monitor
Okay.
because I want to talk about the absentee ballots. We'll roll the videotape. Now, the absentee ballots, all of them, I guess, are sent to a warehouse. Now, they go through a certain process. What's the process here? This gentleman is going through the ballots. I guess they're going through a computer system as well. What process is this right here?
This is the beginning absentee verification process. So what has happened with these
Step one, right?
envelopes is that they've already
Okay.
gone through a machine to capture electronically the voter's signature on their absentee ballot. Then the images are uploaded in the computer against our voter registration signatures for a match. And if for some reason it looks like the signature may not match, then a person, this gentleman, then is reviewing each one of those. We're looking for similarities in the signatures. It's okay if your name is Robert and now you're signing with an R. As long as we can see distinctive things in your signature, we always err on the side of the voter.
What if your name is Robert and you sign it Bob?
Well, the last name or the middle initial or maybe even any of those letters in that will have distinctive markings probably that will cause it to be matched.
Right, interesting. And these absentee ballots, of course, are very closely guarded, I would imagine.
Yes, they are. They're the things that live in the cage with the barbed wire under lock and key always. There's always 2 election officials with the ballots at all times, no matter where the process is at. And the other thing is to remember that if you move or if you, sometimes as we get older, our signatures change, you should re-register and give us your current signature.
Yeah. Now, I want to mention those were ballots that were mailed in, but
Yes.
the ones that are going to be dropped off either today or tomorrow
Yes.
at these drive-through locations. We have about a minute before we go to break
Okay.
here, so I want to mention some of these locations. Fresno County Clerk and Registrar's Office on Kern Street. You've got St. Paul's Church in Coalinga. You've got Sequoia Council Boy Scouts of America. That's at Tamara Avenue in Fresno. Clovis Veterans Memorial District. That's in Clovis, obviously.
Yes.
The Easton Presbyterian Church in Fresno on Elm Avenue. The First Church of the Nazarene on East Butler in Fresno. St. Anthony at Chestnut Avenue in Fresno. California Department of Forestry.
Yes.
You can drive through there in Sanger. And then in Orange Cove, the Orange Cove Library. Those
Correct.
are the 9 locations tomorrow are the drive-through drop-off sites, right?
Exactly, yes. And while Election Day for most people ends at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night, and then we tabulate all of the polling locations, unfortunately Wednesday morning does not mean we get to kick back and relax,
Right.
because now all of these thousands of absentee ballots that have been turned in at the polls, now we have to process them. And so it will take
Right.
several days for us to get through that volume, and some races that are close may have to wait till we process.
Using an old sports term, I don't know if you've heard this, but it was made up several years ago, the fat lady doesn't sing. many days after the election, that's when she starts singing, right? Like 28 or 29 days later, right?
Well, that's when we absolutely will have all of it done, but it'll take us a good week or 10 days to process all the absentees and the provisionals.
All right. 559-265-4331 is the number. Back with more in a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
And don't forget the polls open at 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, bright and early, and they close at 8 o'clock. We'll take a phone call here. Good morning. You're on with Brandi Orth, the Fresno County Registrar. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. What's your question, quickly?
My question is, okay, I moved, and I put in a change of address, everything, and I didn't get my absentee ballot for, like, the first time in years. And so when that happens, like, where do you go? And what do you do? Like, can I still vote, and where do I go to vote? And I'm in the 93722 area code.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, first off, I think you should call our office because we can help you with a lot of your questions over the phone, and that's 600-8683. And they'll verify that you're a registered voter. They'll verify your address. They'll be able to tell your polling place. Yes, you can vote if you're a registered voter, and we will help you with all of that. You could find your polling place online if you plug in your home address, but probably call the office would be the best thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Can I get give me a minute to write that down? The number again.
Yeah. So ma'am, what happened? You moved, and the absentee ballot went to your old address, or what?
Well, I don't think it ever came because I went back over there, you know, to make sure. I put in a change of address, everything, and I've moved like 3 times since I've been an absentee.
Okay.
And each and every time the ballot followed me because I was putting a change of address. But this time it didn't happen. And my son even got his, but I didn't get mine. And he's going to be a first-time voter, but I didn't get mine. And I just really, you know, I didn't know what to do or where to go. I didn't even have an idea that we even had a place downtown where you can go and do that.
Right.
If you're downtown, you can walk into our office right now on Kern Street, 2221 Kern Street between L and M. And you can even vote or get an absentee ballot right there. We can help you.
Right. And the phone number again is 600
8683.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, gosh, I was just so touched. Thank you guys so much.
Good luck.
No problem. See, that's why we're here.
Exactly. Customer service is number one.
All right. Go to another piece of video here, and this is called the sorting process of those absentee ballots. They're so important that they can determine an election, the outcome,
sure they can,
one way or the other. That's why they're so closely guarded. Now, what processes are we looking at here? We're back at the warehouse, of course, video I took on Friday.
Right. Now, the signatures have all been verified, so these ballot envelopes are ready to continue the processing. Right now, this machine sorts them into different precinct groupings because we have to report to the state by precincts, and so it's
that machine knows how to do that.
Every precinct has a slot assigned to it, and that runs it down and drops it in the bucket.
That looks like a camera there. Is that a camera?
Oh yeah, there's several cameras. There's barcodes on there that tell us what precinct it belongs to and then what slot it goes into, and so then we'll take them out by precinct groupings and rubber band them, and then we'll go to extract them.
Why is that important? Grouping them out in certain precincts?
Well, we're required by state law to audit 1% of the vote-by-mail ballots, and we do that by precinct number, but when you get all 80,000 in one bucket, it's more efficient if you get them broken down into tinier groups.
Gotcha. Another phone call here. Good morning. You're on with Brandi Orth.
Yeah, today's not voting day, right?
Pardon me?
It's not voting day today.
No, it's tomorrow, but we're here giving the people...
Okay. I know some guy was telling me it was today.
No.
I was on call to make sure.
Well, you could vote in our office, vote early, but the official election day is tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow.
Right.
Yes.
But so what Brandi is saying is if you wanted to vote today, go to the Fresno County Registrar's office, which is on Kern Street.
Yes.
Cast your ballot or do it the absentee ballot way. or do it like many millions of other Americans.
Exactly.
Just go into the polling place tomorrow. And the
Okay.
polls open at 7 o'clock, by the way.
Okay, tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yes.
and they close at 8 o'clock, so you have plenty of
Okay.
time.
Bye.
Yes. Now, it's an interesting statistic that in Fresno County, about half of our voters are permanent vote by mail people, and the other half
Oh.
are really strongly adamant that they want to go to a polling place. So we have
Now,
both
how do you
processes.
get on that list to be a permanent absentee ballot voter?
When you can either call our office at any time and sign up for that, or on the back of your sample ballot, there's an application here to get a vote by mail, and there's a little box there that you can check that you'd always like your ballot by mail, and we can do that.
Okay. And what are some of the options? Like that one lady, she moved like 3 times, never got the ballot. If you have problems like that, just go down to your office?
Yeah, it's just better to call our office, and then, or you could come down to our office. Election mail is not forwardable mail. It comes back to us, and so you really have to contact us if you have a question for us to help you.
Here's a question I have for you. As we go to more videotape of them sorting and looking through some of the absentee ballots, how do you make sure, this is kind of a 2-part question. We'll go with part 1 first. How do you make sure someone doesn't vote twice, especially via absentee? What if they say, oh, I didn't get my absentee ballot, but in fact they voted. Either they didn't remember or they're maybe purposely trying to slip one in.
Right. This is, let me just quickly say, this video is where we have sliced open the envelopes. They've been
Okay.
verified, and now we're removing the ballots.
Gotcha.
But yes, the system has safeguards in it, and so when we issue an absentee ballot, your record in the computer is marked that we have issued you a ballot. When it's returned and we verified your signature, the signature is also updated to say they've returned a ballot. If they should happen to somehow get another absentee ballot, which I've not experienced, and it comes through the system, the second ballot will be tossed out. It will be put into a different bucket. It will not be processed. Now, if someone returns their absentee and our record says so, and then they may go to the polls, next to their name on the roster, it says, you're an absentee voter. You need to surrender your absentee ballot. If they can't do that and they still want to vote, we put them in a pink provisional envelope, and after the election, we make sure manually that they didn't return an absentee. If they did, we never open the provisional
I
ballot.
see.
So we have
I
a safeguard
see.
there.
And see, that's another thing that could determine the election, the
Yes.
provisional ballots.
Exactly.
You know, a
we'll
lot of
get
people
several
forget
thousand.
about those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
You've got the absentees that need to be counted, and you've got the provisionals.
Right.
And they've, in a close election, could be a determining factor.
It could
you
be.
don't know.
It could be.
You
It takes a
don't know.
lot of time to handle the provisionals. We want to be accurate and
Yeah.
correct.
All right. Let me ask you this. Why do we not see the problems here in California? At least we don't hear about them, especially here in Fresno County. Let's narrow it to Fresno County. The problems that we see sometimes across the country, like in Florida, for example. I saw over the weekend there were some problems there. How come we don't have major problems? Although we did in 2010 with some of the polling places being closed, but we don't have a lot of the major snafus that some of the other states have. Why?
Well, I think it has to do with the election laws that are applicable in California.
Are they more stringent or what?
I don't know if they are more stringent, but it just seems like all the registrars in the California are very well versed and conduct their business according to the law. That's not to say that Florida's not doing something according to the law. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But we had Saturday voting on Saturday.
Right.
And
No problems?
We didn't have any problems.
No complaints?
No, I'm not familiar with what's happening in Florida, but
Right.
it's
And-
kind of interesting nationwide. Every state can do kind of their own thing in many ways, and then their state has their own specific election laws. So California is very well established and has a lot of safeguards in their system to make sure it's
to prevent
valid.
voter fraud
Yes.
and any kind of other hanky-panky that's going on behind the scenes there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And if there is any written complaints of election irregularities, the Secretary of State has a fraud unit that then will go after and investigate, and the local DAs will prosecute.
Yeah. It just seems like Florida is the one state that always has problems for some reason or other. Let's hope that doesn't happen this election cycle. We all know what happened in 2000, and we don't want that to happen again.
Absolutely not.
So anyway, we're less than 24 hours away. everything going smoothly? No problems so far?
No, we're dialed in. Fresno County is ready. We're ready for a good turnout. We're hoping at least 70%.
Right.
A countywide election costs the county a little over $2 million.
Wow.
We are prepared. We have ballots out there, and people should partake.
All right. Brandi Orth, thank you for your time. We know
Thank
how
you.
busy you are.
Yeah.
It's the busiest time of year right now. There's no question about it. Good luck in the election tomorrow.
Thank you.
Don't forget to vote. Polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. tomorrow. And we'll be back tomorrow with Mike Briggs and someone else. He's going to be debating the issues and the candidates. See you tomorrow.